And away we go. It is the Nightcap, brought to you by Galactic Fried Chicken, right here on BearcatJournal.com. As always, visit www.galacticfriedchicken.com. Download the app for Android, iPhone, everything Galactic. Get down to Dayton, Kentucky. Time to pump it up. Save yourself 15%, or they will deliver via the app right to your front door, pretty much anywhere inside the 275 loop. Aaron, I think I'm getting to a point where it's been too long. There's been a lot going on. I haven't had time.
I need to get a
fried chicken.
I need a bottle.
Need a bottle of the sauce. Aaron's back on the sauce. Yeah, I'm with you. I've been making like burgers and a couple other things lately that I've been like, damn, I could really use some Galactic sauce to go with the mix. But yeah. Go visit our friends. Take care of them. Open Wednesday through Sunday, lunch and dinner. All right, brother. Let's get to it. Let's get to the news of the day. It pains me to talk about this in some ways because Scott Googins was a friend of the program. Not only was he a friend of the program, but I considered him a friend. He was at a lot of football practices, especially in the spring, like when, or more towards the winter, but like the bowl practices. And there were a bunch of times like where I was around Googs in a informal setting and just got to know him really well. And I really liked him. And I think everybody in and around the university had a great deal of like and respect for Coach Googins. I got a lot of text messages today from people that knew him and respected his work, and it's kind of like, did they have to? Here's the reality.
When you start getting involved with gambling and what your staff knew or didn't know or whatever the case may be, it gets into some gray area where, truthfully...
Well, let's be honest about sports. If you're winning at a pretty high clip, there's a decent chance you can survive something like that. And you have your two assistants get let go. But when you're not winning and you're going into a brand new, shiny, bright conference that is really, really good in baseball, and your performance hasn't, unfortunately, been what you expected it to be. We kind of talked about this a couple days ago. He was never able to get the program to a point where the pitching and the hitting were on the same plane in the same year. There were years where they had really good pitching. They didn't have the offense. There were years where they had really good offense. They didn't have the pitching. He could never get things, interconnected to where everything was flowing in the right direction, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And when you have a scandal on top of you're not performing really at the level that, the higher ups think you should be performing, there's a decent chance that it results in the end of your tenure. And that's what happened today for Scott Googins. He resigned.
Finishes his career at Cincinnati at 143 and 157, 65 and 63 in conference. The best finish he had at Cincinnati was in second. And that was in 2019. And that was the year they were able to go to the NCAA regional and make some noise. They
beat the defending national champion in the opening game. We had a watch party at the Holy Grail.
Yeah,
it was electric. A lot of fun watching them go to Oregon State and beat Oregon State. I'm a little sad because I really like Goose. Yeah. Like I really liked him.
He was good to us. He was fun to talk to. He was always more than happy to give him more than his fair share amount of time to the program here. And so you hope that whoever takes over is able to do that as well. Unfortunately, though, after COVID, after the 7-8 season in 2020, where the season was canceled due to COVID, what are you going to do there? Fourth place at 29 and 26 and 24 and 31 respectively, and then tied for fifth this season at 24 and 33. 24 and 33 is not great.
No, it's not. And it always felt like they were close. One, it never felt like they could get over the early season hump where they would travel.
I agree.
They would play some good games. But it always felt like, they were 3 weeks into the season and they had a hill to climb.
It was like the Reds did last year, where they had a dreadful April.
Nothing that bad.
But dreadful April, and everything else after that is the steepest of climbs.
The Reds had a mountain, like Mount Vesuvius, to climb after their start last year.
I mean, I guess for me, though, you're obviously investing a ton of money into redoing the turf, into redoing the stadium again.
Scoreboard.
I mean, there's
a
lot of
they redid,
a lot of renovations that are going into play there, and you've got to figure it out.
I guess here's my question, and we've had the same question with women's basketball. Can they win? Ultimately, the answer is always yes. Eventually, like, it can be built. It can be built anywhere. We've seen that. The question is, can it be sustained? Can it be like a program that annually, if they're not in the NCAA tournament, if they're not making a regional, they're at least like sweating it out when the announcements are made, that like during the selection show. Right now, it feels like they're so far from that going into a new conference, like at least with football, we've seen football succeed at a major level and have, sustained success. We've seen basketball over 60 years, whatever, have sustained success. We have not seen that from baseball. And it's a little bit head scratching. Of course, it's not Florida and Texas and like these places where they get to play baseball all year round.
Right.
But there's enough talent in this area to build a program that can hold its own. And we haven't seen that on a sustained basis, Aaron. I guess the question is, and now John Cunningham gets to make kind of the final hire.
Yeah.
In terms of, he's hired football, he's hired basketball, he's hired women's basketball, now he's hiring baseball. He's getting to make that final hire in his trophy case, I guess, like, if you will.
Sure.
It's probably not a great analogy, but like, can UC baseball be successful, Aaron?
Well, and if you're looking
sustained success,
if you're looking at UCF just fired their coach, and UCF's coach this season was 33-26. They finished 4th in conference. He was 225 and 149 over his tenure there. Prior to that, he was at Wright State, my alma mater, 124 and 56. I know Dave mentioned tonight Wright State's coach. He's only been there for 4 seasons. His name is Alex Sogard. The guy from UCF is Greg Lovelady, by the way. Alex Sogard, who's at Wright State, 113 and 66, 30 and 27 this year, finished first in the Horizon League. He's finished first 3 out of 4 seasons. The one season he didn't. He was 6-9, and that season got canceled because of COVID. So there's some options, obviously, but I guess I just don't want to get lost in the fact that, again, great to the program, but if you're 143 and 157 and you see a team in Florida where you can practice in normal weather all year long in Orlando, and you're firing a coach who was 75 games over 500.
Yeah. That's the level of expectation I think many feel like Cincinnati should have in their baseball program. And
Big 12 is only going to get harder.
Yeah, there's great programs in the Big 12. Shocker. Like, the Big 12, say what you will about the Big 12. It may not, especially with Texas and Oklahoma leaving, it may not have the biggest names. But everything everybody does is competitive.
there's a lot of money that you can spread around to different programs, and when you're making a lot more money.
Yeah, well, and just they have an understanding of how to do it, like how to focus on it, how to get it right, like how
A lot of those schools are in the South. I mean, in Texas,
the Southwest. Yeah, like there's a lot of high school programs that are big money high school programs. You go down there, they got like $40 million high school football stadiums. Yeah,
you can play year round.
Yeah, so I think there's just a level of frustration from the outside looking in with Cincinnati baseball, and it's not just tied to Googins.
I agree.
It goes back a long time where this program has always been okay. Like, 137 and 126 over this period. Like, you know what I mean? Like they just have never felt like they can get over the hump. And I think it's important going into this league that you have those secondary, obviously football and men's basketball are front facing. But if your women's basketball program is successful, you do get a lot of eyes. If your baseball program is successful, you do get a good number of eyes from that. Like, there are opportunities to sell the university that are being lost because women's basketball and baseball can't get over that hump from we're okay. We're not terrible, but we never can get to consistently above average. I think that would be a huge success for the university, for the athletic department, if both of those programs could just go from below average, slightly below average, to a little bit above average.
Well, I think that Katrina Merriweather is clearly a splash hire for the university. Yeah. And I'm very curious to see in what direction that John Cunningham goes with this most recent opening. Will it be a familiar name like a Greg Lovelady, like an Alex Sogard from Wright State, or is he going to go outside of the box again and potentially bring in somebody?
Are either of those coaches from North Carolina? Because I think he's got a thing.
Is Katrina also from North Carolina?
No, I don't think so. No.
Well, maybe it's not a thing.
I mean, if you got to type, you got to type. Okay, we'll end it there. That's the nightcap. We'll see you tomorrow night. Aaron. Maybe some birdies tomorrow night. Maybe a little first football camp of the summer tomorrow night. It could be a pretty big nightcap. I'd stay tuned. We'll see you then, right here on BearcatJournal.com.